Good morning, or I guess I should say good afternoon. My days, the time is crazy. Okay, this is Rebecca from Rebecca Inc. Today we are going to draw a hippo using very simple shapes. What you need to join in is a pencil, a marker, an eraser, and a piece of paper. And that is it. You are going to start with your pencil. I'm going to use a marker so that you can see me better. Let me move my guide here. And you're going to grab your pencil. I'm going to use a marker, just like I said. We're going to start just about in a little bit, not quite in the middle of your paper, a little bit over to the right from the middle of your paper. And we are going to do an oval to begin with. This will be our hippo's body. So we're going to get our whole arm going from our shoulder, and we're going to draw an oval. It's about this big. It is tilted slightly up, if that makes sense. I'm going around and around and around and around, and if you've never drawn with me before, we go around and around and around and around, and it's not perfect. I've got lines that are inside, lines that are outside. This is just serving as a guide, and when you use your larger motions, larger motor movements, that's hard for me to say today, you create that general shape, and these little wavers and things that aren't perfect are not going to matter in the long run. This will all get erased in the long run. So for now, we're just going to be nice and loose and draw an oval there. Next up, just slightly, the tip of this circle is going to be just a little bit below that oval. We're going to draw a circle that's going to live right about here. I'm getting my whole arm going from my shoulder because the shapes are kind of bigger, and I'm going to draw a circle just like that. See how mine isn't perfect? Yours won't be perfect either. If that bothers you, take a deep breath and let it be okay, okay? It'll be okay. In between that oval and this circle, let's add a little connecting triangle like I like to do. It's going to go over just like that. Connect those two shapes. If you want to see that whole triangle, it's right there. I'm just doing that top line there. All right, now we are going to do another oval. It's going to be about the same size as this circle, but it's going to be an oval, and we're going to bring it down this direction, just like that. It's going to be about this big. So get your whole arm going from your shoulder. I'm drawing a nice little oval there. It's tilted back. This is going to help us get the neck and actually some of the jawline of our hippo. So we did a body oval, and then we did a circle, and then we did another oval. Let's add in the head of our hippo. Just about where, let's see, this circle comes down, be about 3/4 of the way. We're going to add in an oval that's going to be about this big and live right about here. It's going to be angled like this, a little like tilted up. This will be our hippo's forehead. So go ahead and draw in an oval just like that. And then off to each side, we're going to draw in littler ovals. I'm going to move my hand so that you can see. This oval is going to be tiny. They have, for as big as they are, their ears are super small. I'd be curious to see if they actually have good hearing or not, because their ears are tiny. And inside this ear, we are going to draw a little circle at the end, just like that. Very good. Now, take notice of the angle that you drew this oval in. Everything we're drawing on the face is going to be taking that same angle. So off of this oval, we are going to add in a little rectangle, and it's going to be angled that same direction. Let me show you what I mean. I'm just going to plant my wrist and move my hand back and forth on either side of that oval, just like that, to get those lines coming down. Then I'm going to connect those two lines. For that portion, I'm planting my elbow, and I'm just moving my forearm. If I were to draw in that whole rectangle, it would be here. That line would be here. But we don't really need that line, so I'm not going to add it in. See how this line and this line and this line, they all kind of go, I'll put my marker down so you can see, they all kind of go along that same plane. So try to make sure your shapes on this face all kind of line up in that direction. On either side of that rectangle section that we drew, we are going to add in some circles for our eyes. This one is going to live right at the corner of that, and it's going to be about this big. Now to get that shape, because it's smaller, I'm planting my wrist and I'm just using my fingers. Round and round I go. Same idea, just smaller motor movements. Had to say it nice and slow so I don't mess it up. All right, moving on to the other eye. It's going to sit on that line, but it's going to extend just slightly over. So about the same size. Draw in a nice little circle, just like that. All right. Inside that circle, we are going to do another circle that's kind of at the base of that one, just like that. And we're going to plant our wrist and draw an arc over top of that. Now when we plant our wrist and we're just moving our hand ever so slightly, our body is going to help us get that nice arced shape. Inside the little circle that we drew there, let's draw another circle, getting littler and littler as we go, and then another circle. The littlest one will be our highlight. All right, moving on from there, we are going to draw a rectangle from where this little circle meets up with this larger oval right there. We're going to draw a line going down from there, just like that. And about the center of that other eye, another line going down from there. At the end of that, now keeping in mind those lines that kind of all go the same way, we're going to draw a rectangle. Now I'm moving my whole arm from my shoulder to try to help me get that angle that I want. If it helps you at any point to rotate your paper, do that. I'm not doing that because I don't want to mess up my alignment here with the camera, but if it helps you to move your paper, please do that. All right, now I'm planting my wrist and I'm drawing the lines that come down off of that triangle. And it's going to be about that big. You see that? And connect that bottom part. Very good. Let's go back up on this side and add a few connecting triangles for ourselves. From that eye, we're going to add a long, skinny little triangle there, and then another little triangle right here to connect. So this would be like the bridge of the nose, and now we're going down to where the nostrils are. Let's give ourselves a guide. We're going to move our arm over like this, planting our elbow, and we're going to give ourselves a guide from the center of this rectangle. We're going to draw an arc that goes all the way up like that. So just plant your elbow and then move your forearm in the natural motion it's going to go. You can either use just your wrist, or you can actually move your whole forearm to get that shape. I'm just using my wrist, so maybe try that. Plant your wrist and just move your hand in that natural arc you're going to get. And you'll get that arc. You might surprise yourself. Inside this bottom rectangle, let's add a few circles. They're going to be just slightly bigger than our eyes, so we're going to get our whole hand going and draw a nice circle right there. And then actually nice and close to it, another one right here. Now you see how my lines are not perfect and they're nice and light. I've got some that are a little wider, some that are a little skinnier. Squint your eyes for a second and look at those shapes. You'll see a circle. That's what we're going for, is that circle. Next up, let's draw a slightly bigger circle right here. Now this one is going to be about that big. Very good. This one's going to help us know where our nostrils are going to live. Headed into those little circles we drew, just trace over so we know where those lines kind of meet up there. That can give us our nostril shape. And they're going to line up and be just perfect because we added in that circle as our guide. We need one more little rectangle here. It's going to be headed down into that snout just a little bit, about like that, and down, and just a little bit outside there. drawing a nice rectangle there. This shape is bigger, so you can get your whole arm going on those long lines. And for the littler ones, you can just use your wrist. Very good. Now we need to add in some shapes for our jaw. Kind of like we've done on the zebra and the horse, our hippo has a nice strong mark right about here. We're going to add in a circle. It lives inside this oval and it's tucked right next to that eye. You see that? So kind of from the eye down to that oval and back up. Draw a nice little circle there. And then from that rectangle that we just drew, we're going to just add in a little arc to connect that rectangle to that circle. We are ready for some legs. Let's start at the back end. We're going to draw in an oval on this back end. It's going to be about here. Now, if I were to trace over this back end, it would just dip in just ever so slightly. From there, let's add in a rectangle. And do a little rectangle right here. The shape is a little smaller, so I'm kind of just using my hand and my forearm there. At the base of that, let's do a little oval right there. Now the hippo has, I'm going to call them toenails. We're going to draw a little circle at that end of the oval, at that end of the oval, and then in the middle, or just about the middle. Go ahead and do that. Little circle, little circle, little circle. Now let's do our back leg. Our back leg, if we're doing perspective, it's going to be just a little bit above. So let's add in a little oval about the same size as this one, right about here, so we know where that leg is going to live. Let's do that. Up from that, let's do another rectangle, but this time we're going to angle it back. See that? How it angles back? There's that rectangle. All right, same thing. Let's add in those 3 circles. One at the front of the oval, one in the middle, and one at the back. Nice and light, just kind of sketching them so we know where they're going to live. 2 legs left. All right, this front leg is going to live, let's see if I can figure out a way to explain this to you. Right about down from this circle for the jaw, where that back line of that circle is, let's draw another rectangle that angles down, just like that. It's going to be on a diagonal line with this back leg. So if we were to draw in that diagonal line, it's going to live right there. Alrighty, so we'll draw over, and then another diagonal line back to get our rectangle. See that shape there? Then let's add in that oval for the foot. Now on this one, I'm going to put in 4 of the fingernails. So I'm just going to kind of space them evenly apart. I'm going to have one on this side, a little bit over another one, a little bit over another one, a little bit over another one. So go ahead and draw in 4 circles around the base of that foot oval there. Give you a second to catch up here. From here, we're going to add in a oval right up here at the top of that rectangle that we just drew. We're going to add in an oval that overlaps that along that edge. It overlaps this bottom mark and then along the edge of that rectangle and goes around. That's just going to help us get a nice little detail. Now let's add in that back leg. Now the back leg is tucked behind, so you really can't see much of it. So from your jaw circle over to the rectangle we just drew for the front leg, let's just add in a connecting triangle, just like that. And then off of that, kind of a mimicking rectangle. We're just gonna see a hint of this guy. Down like that and over. And then a little hint. Now if you were gonna see the whole thing, it would be like this. It's back foot. See how this back foot is also on an angle with the other foot? Then we can add in one of the toenails. believe it or not, you have all the shapes that we are going to need for our hippo. Let's add in one little mark here. From the ear, where we had that first circle, we're going to just kind of connect that ear with a diagonal line down to the jaw. And then we'll stop there. Okay, let's switch over to our marker and create, oh, one more, sorry, don't switch yet. Add in another connecting triangle right here between your leg and that body. And do I need any more? Just double check myself here. Okay, now I think we're good. Switch over to your marker. I am using a Sharpie. You can use whatever kind of marker you want, just as long as you can't erase it. It could even be a pen. That is fine. And let's start on the face of our hippo, since that's the most complicated area. Let's start around this oval we drew at the top, which would be like our hippo's forehead. We're going to just trace over a little bit of that. Then we're going to go around the edge of this ear, down to the eye, and around. So let's just do that little bit. Around the tip of the forehead, up around that oval for the ear, and then down that rectangle we drew onto that eye circle and over. Very good. Now let's do that other ear. We're going to add in a line around the base of that ear. And we're going to add in a little mimicking line and go up and around our ear, but not all the way. And then where we drew that circle, we're just going to find one side of that and give it a nice little arc, just like that. So we used our oval to help us create some wrinkles and then the actual ear. From here, let's add in just a hint around the top of that oval and stop. Let's go back to this eye and continue down. We're going to go down that connecting triangle onto the little connecting triangle. Now when we get down to this rectangle, we're going to try to round the edges. We don't want it to have super sharp edges, but we do want it to stick out that far. So we're just going to round those edges. So go connecting triangle to the little connecting triangle onto your rectangle. Now at this point, just kind of give it a nice rounded shape. Very good. From here, let's go back up and add in a few things because I feel like I might forget them. It is a Monday after all. We're going to add in a little arc around this eye to give it some definition, just like that. And then we're also going to add in this edge of the rectangle. Just a hint of it, like that. Very good. Now let's go around the mouth. We're going to go around the edge of this rectangle, round that corner, and come up just a little bit. So when you go around your rectangle, you're just softening that edge just a little bit. Very good. Same thing on this bottom part where that second rectangle sticks out. Just round that edge and come around. Soften the edge there and come around. Very good. All right, let's go up to this other eye. We are going to add in that same little hint on that left-hand side, and then we're also going to do it around the top. Now, for this little part, let's draw in the full circle that we drew. And then go ahead and add in your arc over top and your little circle and leave your highlight nice and white. I did forget a shape, but I think we are good enough. We can add it in now. In between their eyes, this top part has like some funky angles to it. So we are just going to add in a little line, diagonal line here on that side of our division there, and then back toward that eye that way. So it almost creates like a little triangle there, just like a little hint. Okay, let's continue on with our head. From that eye, we're going to give this line here, we're going to arc it just ever so slightly. So you're kind of following along, but at the end you're letting it go up or down. All right, now for the nose. We're going to trace along the edge of this circle and the edge of this circle. Let's go ahead and do those inside edges. You're going not quite halfway around. You're picking your favorite line. At this point, you're deciding how fat or how skinny, how big or how little. Pick your favorite line on your circles. And then for your nostrils, where you darkened that little spot, go ahead and go over that line twice with your marker. Once, twice. That gives it the exact thickness that you would like it to be. Very good. Now, we're going to hop on this back line. We're going to go up the rest of that rectangle onto that connecting arc. And then we're going to go around, remember this bigger oval? We're going to go rectangle, connecting arc, and then up that larger oval. Go ahead and fill those in. And give your hand a little flick at the end. So we went around and up. Now we're going to go from the ear, that last little diagonal line I had us draw in, we're going to go down that and a little bit around this jaw circle that we had. Down that and around our jaw. Just like a little hint of that. Very good. All right, now we can do the rest of our hippo. So let's go back over to this first ear that's on the left-hand side of our hippo, and we're going to trace up this oval. Let your line dip in a little bit, hop onto that circle, onto the connecting triangle, and around. Alrighty, so let's do that part. Up the oval, let it dip in a little bit there, around the tip of that circle. Move my marker so you can see, onto the connecting triangle, and around the back. Very good. Let's add in a hint of this line that we drew for the division. Let's just add in a little hint of that. With this, we're nice and light with our marker. Just kind of touch it down to that line and flick it forward. Very good. All right, let's go back to this jaw, and we're going to draw like where we went around this oval. Now we need from that oval, we're going to kind of connect it back to this oval with just like some hints of lines. So mine connect like right here, and I'm going to stop for a second and then hop back on that oval just a little bit, and then a little bit more. Up top here, same thing. We're just going to give a little hint of those shapes around the top. This just helps define our hippo. Has some, like maybe some wrinkles right there. So we're just going to let those be hints of lines. So you'll loosen the grip on your marker, let your hand shake a little bit, and just add in a couple little hints of those lines. Now let's do this front leg. From where we just drew that angle, remember where we had the little oval that sits at the top of that leg? That oval is going to help us get some nice wrinkles as well. We're going to go around the top part of that oval, down. And now we're going to go around the rectangles and around the base to get our legs. So let's go around this rectangle, onto that circular, oval shape for the foot. Now for the fingernails, we're going to go around and stop. Cut over on that oval, around the front part of that and stop. Cut over on the oval, front part, cut over on the oval, and on this back one, I'm going to go around the other way. Now let's go back to this front one and add in just a hint of that shape there. Just a little hint. Let your hand flick down. Let's go to this back leg so we don't forget it. Let's go ahead and draw the connecting triangle. You can draw it all the way over because it's got kind of a wrinkle there. And we'll go around that rectangle, down onto the oval, a little bit around that front toenail, and stop. Very good. Let's go up the rest of this leg. We're just going to go right up this line to where it cuts into the oval we drew. See how there's like a nice little overlap right there? Just helps us know like the heft of our hippo. Let's go to the back end of our hippo now. We're going to go from here. We're going to go down this line, let your marker dip in a little bit there, and down and cut in a little bit. So let's do that part. Around that part, and around that part. Let it come into that leg ever so slightly. Now let's go connecting triangle, down the rectangle, and then same thing we did with this foot, we're going to do with this foot. So connecting triangle, down the rectangle onto that oval. And when we get to those circles, we're going to go around and up, and then cut over on our oval again. Around and up, cut over on our oval, and on this outside one, I'm just going to give a hint around the base of it. I'm going to go back and do that on that front. Give a little hint around the base of that one. Now on the top of this first one here, we're going to go a little bit around the top. Very good. Now we can just go right up that rectangle and let that be a crease there. All right, from the very first oval that we drew, this is our body. We're going to come up into that just ever so slightly and go from here all the way over to our first leg. Pick your favorite line there. I'm going to pick my fattest line and draw over, because they're pretty hefty. Now let's go around this one. Same idea, around the rectangle, hop onto the oval, and then tuck around each circle and back onto the connecting oval there. Down the rectangle, around that fingernail a little bit, back to the oval, around that fingernail a little bit, back to the oval, and around that fingernail a little bit, and back up. Very good. Believe it or not, you have, let me just double check here, you have everything we need for a super cool hippo. So you're going to set your marker down and grab your eraser. I'm going to use a white eraser. You can use the back of a pencil eraser. We just never have any. They get used all up. You could use a pink eraser, whatever you have. Go ahead and use that. I'm going to switch to my guide and erase right along with you. Find a nice clean spot on your eraser. See how there's like dirty marks on my eraser? If I start erasing with that, I'm going to add that dirt to my paper. So make sure your eraser is clean. Steady your paper with your hand and just start erasing. You're going to follow your hand that's erasing with your other hand to steady your paper so you don't crinkle it. And if you've got some darker lines in there, take a second and go over those a few times with your eraser. Make sure you're steadying your paper. You're going to erase all of your guides, and you're going to be left with a super cute hippo. This drawing was for little Claire. I know that she loves hippos, and she sings, I want a hippopotamus for Christmas. And it's super cute. So I thought that she might enjoy seeing a hippo being drawn, and maybe she'll join in and draw one with me. That would be cute. If you have something you would like to learn how to draw, send me that in the comments. Send me pictures of what you're drawing. I would love to see whatever tutorial you chose to do. Send me your pictures. And if you've sent me pictures, you can find them on my website, RebeccaInc.com, under the Interact tab. Now, our weekend went fast, so I'm adding the ones I got at the end of last week. I'm adding those in today. So Dahlia, if you're looking for your koala bear that is super cute, it will be up later on today. RebeccaInc.com, Interact tab. And then you can also find on my website some downloadable coloring pages. They're really intricate and a lot of fun. They're $1. You can download those and color them up and send them to me. You can now find me, Rebecca Inc., I-N-K, Facebook, YouTube, and I never mentioned my Spoonflower account. If you're making masks, I design fabric as well. Super cool stuff on Spoonflower under Rebecca Inc., I-N-K. And you can also find me on Instagram at Rebecca Inc. Stay healthy, stay positive, and I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for drawing with me.